Live.
Okay,
Are
there
we
it is.
live now?
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I don't, oh, wait, shoot. What am I doing? Oh, I don't have any Google effects. I can't do the sound effects. I'm sorry.
Oh, it says I can use the app. Okay, use app. Now you can, I think.
Oh, I can?
Yeah, try it.
Hi, everyone.
Yay!
We gotta have that. We gotta have some, sound effects. Exciting stuff. So it's been a really long time since Ava and I have done a show.
Yeah, it's been a really, really long time, and there's a lot to talk about, I think, from both of us. So, yeah.
So go ahead and get started. What's been going on with you, Ava?
Okay, I'm doing, you may or may not be able to tell, but I've been doing voice lessons, and that's really been good for me in some senses. I use this special app. I think I talked about it in my other video. Have you seen this? It's called voice pitch analyzer, and
Oh no, I
it has
haven't.
three ranges, and then it has female range, androgynous range, and then down here is male range,
Uh-huh.
and then it gives you this thing, and I'll just try it right here. So it gives you this thing to read, and then you just read for 20 seconds. So you go ah, what a nuisance people's people are. Try and make him come. By the way, Dorian, you ran off very early last night. You left before 11. What did you do afterward? And then it shows your range. So if you can see here with the shades, I have maybe 25% in the male range, 25% in the androgynous range, and 50% in the female range.
Oh,
And
nice.
what I'm trying to do is eventually, and sometimes I get it up there, but it's not consistent yet. I want to get it all in the female range. But this thing, if you do it every day, several times a day, then you eventually you're gonna get it. Because since I've been doing this, the trend is upward. So it's very, very useful when you're working on your voice for sure.
Oh, that's really cool. Where did you find that app?
Some trans woman commented on a video where I was talking about voice lessons, and then she said that she was doing some videos on voice lessons, and then I watched her video, and then I found this app, and then I took this app with me to see my speech therapist, and my speech therapist looked at it, and she actually really approved of it. She was like, this is a really useful thing, and you should use that along with the exercises that I give you. And so that's what I do. I use the exercises that she gave me to warm my voice up, and then I use this to practice my voice, and then I use some of the phrases and exercises that she gives me to practice my voice as well. And then I'm using that to progress and get it up there a little bit.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Wow.
Yeah, if it doesn't work in a year, I think I'm still gonna get voice surgery, but it's certainly worth trying.
It's true. It's better than putting yourself through having your vocal cords messed with.
Oh yeah, and it's like money too. That's the other thing I've been working with. I've been there's the health system here. Everyone from America and Canada, they think that in Europe, the healthcare system is so good and it's so socialized and socialism and everything's free and shit. That is such bullshit. Basically, what they have here is kind of like Obamacare, and so you're mandated to buy private insurance, but it's so stupid because all of the private insurances are just a little bit different, and they all have their own different procedures and ways that you're supposed to interact with them, and they have slightly different policies, especially when it comes to trans care. So like I was going to go through the main thing, which is called the gender team in Amsterdam, and if I would have went through them, it's I think we've talked about this before, but I'll just rehashing because you forgot. It was a half-year waiting list for intake, then a half year after that. Then they told me it would be another half year. So I had the medical appointment, then a half year to the medical appointment, then a half year to the psychological appointment. Then it was another half year to start another psychotherapy session that would be 6 months to a year. Then after that, it would be 1 year of medical observation. And then after that, then I can get on the waiting lists for other surgeries. So basically, it's like, why would you ever do this? If you're like already in transition, it makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was that my husband tracked down a different like therapist or whatever who could recommend me as being transgender and then refer me for surgeries also in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and we spoke with that therapist, and then that therapist said, okay, so what you need to do is you need to send a letter to your insurance company and ask them about these things. They're going to ignore you. Then you have to contact them again. Then they'll send you a letter. Then you send them a letter. Then you call them, and it's like you have to go through this whole song and dance just to like get the insurance company to tell you how much they're going to pay for these different surgeries. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's not going to be all of it. It'll be somewhere between 20 to probably 50 or 60% of it they will cover. So they
Mm-hmm.
don't even cover like all that much of it, and you still have to do all this bullshit, and you're paying about 3,000 or 4,000 euros a year for the health insurance. It's totally ridiculous.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know how Obamacare works here. I know like you pay a monthly premium, which can range depending on your dependents or what have you, or your income. Um, and then I think depending on your insurance, but they cover a majority of it. I don't know what the copays are, the deductions. Like my insurance, I'm really lucky because I pay a certain amount every month that comes out of my check for my insurance, but it covered 100% of the surgery. I didn't have to pay any copay. So far, I haven't gotten a bill, knock on wood. But, I was really lucky in that regard. I mean, I had to pay for other stuff, but my insurance reimbursed me for all the costs. So I was really lucky because I'm like, I like my insurance.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think it's a big misconception that a lot of people have that, like, US insurance is, like, worse or something. Like, there's definitely some fucked up things happening over there with, like, your pharmaceutical industries and stuff, but in terms of, like, health insurance, like, I would say other countries definitely have really big problems as well. It's not like Europe is, like, some utopia where, like, healthcare is free and stuff, because it's really not.
Well, unfortunately, one of our presidential nominees is like totally touting that Europe has the most amazing insurance, which is
No, it's terrible. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because like right now, some parties in America are trying to defund Planned Parenthood because they hate abortion or something. But that's where
Some
I went.
parties, you mean one party, the Republican Party?
Yeah, one party. Well, the other one's Tea Parties, but they're basically Republicans. But I went to Planned Parenthood when I started my hormones because they started offering trans services. So that's where I went and they did my blood work and I didn't have insurance. So my hormones were like 50 to 60 bucks a month. And a nurse practitioner watched me. She just did my blood work, but my blood work was like $12 or you could just do like a donation. It was really amazing because I mean you had to sit there and wait for like hours sometimes to see someone. So it could be like a whole day affair. But I just find it really disheartening that they're trying to defund that because if you don't make a lot of money, you're able to like go and get, even if you're trans, like to get blood tests, to get cancer screenings, all sorts of stuff. Like it's not just abortions, which they think that it's all Planned Parenthood it does, but it isn't. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I that's something else, of course, that I've been paying attention to. The whole Donald Trump versus Ted Cruz thing and the Republican, like the Democratic thing is like it's interesting, but um, I mean, I think Bernie is like not really electable, even though I like him more than Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Do you worry about like since you live in Europe, have people said anything about Donald Trump being president or anything?
I mean, I think people, well, okay, because the thing about the spooky thing about Donald Trump, and like I don't want to like bring up like Goodwin's law or Godwin's law or whatever, but like when like Hitler was running for office in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and like he was like a joke at the first. He was like spouting off random bullshit that was like totally ridiculous, like it's the Jews' fault that we're in like economic depression and they've stolen our wealth and like blah blah blah, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then and then like And then like he did actually end up getting elected eventually. And I think it's a similar sort of fear about Donald Trump because he makes these outrageous statements that are so aggressive and ridiculous. And I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I mean, he's not actually going to get elected because he's so fucking crazy. But the scary part is that he could get elected, and because like it's happened before, and that's what really scares people. I think. I think a lot of people draw that parallel between Trump and the Fuhrer.
Well, and what I find really interesting is a majority of my friends are Bernie supporters, and they're hardcore supporters. Like they hate Hillary with a passion. And I find it interesting that she's got close to 9.6 million votes. She's got over a million more than Donald Trump, and Bernie Sanders has like a million less than Donald Trump. But he's been toting and going around saying that he could beat Trump in a bigger point margin than Hillary can. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And here's why. Because all the states that he's been winning in the primary, they're all red states. They always go to Republicans. Utah, Idaho, all those states are predominantly white states that are conservative. And unfortunately, you know, where he lost are typically Democrats, which is where Hillary won by large margins because African Americans, Latinos, Muslims, women, they all voted for her. And he hasn't attracted that whole base. And that's where I'm like, I just don't really see it happening in a general election. Plus, in the New York Daily News, he can't defend his core campaign message. Like everything that he says, people love, but he has no plan. So I'm like, and he isn't vetted by the Republicans, and many people didn't know who he was until recently. So I'm like, and the Republicans spend millions and millions of dollars to trash Democrats, and I know they're going to dig up a lot of crap on him because I know a lot of stuff about him, and I'm like, you know, what I know, I'm thinking, wait until everyone knows, and it's not going to be. Even if it's old news, people are still going to be like, oh, you know.
No, I think
socialism's a bad word, you know? Anyway.
It is a bad word, and that's why I think that although I actually like Bernie as a candidate more, I want Hillary to win because, like, if it ends up being like Trump versus Hillary, Hillary's going to win for sure. But if it's Trump versus Bernie, you might actually have enough people voting for Trump that Trump gets elected, and that is fucking terrifying to think about. But the other thing about the whole thing is that, like, who's the alternative? Is it like Ted Cruz? Because that's also terrifying to think about. He's perhaps even more terrifying to think about than Trump. So it's so weird right now. It's such a fucked up system that you guys have over there.
It really is. Like, I'm a huge Hillary supporter. I really like her. I know her work history. I'm reading her books and like getting to understand her. I really like her because she's a very results-driven person. I think that she's very misunderstood, and unfortunately, in our society for the past 30 years, she's had 30 years of smear campaigns. So people subconsciously already have a negative view of her. Because I was raised in a household that's Republican. Like my family is hardcore Republican supporters. And as I grew up, I became more liberal minded. Like I would probably say I'm more liberal conservative, moderate liberal or whatever. Because I'm not like, I guess you could say fly off the rails liberal, but I'm not at all conservative. So, you know, like I think money wise, I'm conservative, but I'm for social causes and stuff. But so for me, like I grew up with the negative viewpoint of her. So when she ran against Barack Obama, I was already in for Obama. Plus I knew of him because of where I grew up near Chicago. Like that's where he was well known. And I just loved him. And when I knew if he ever ran for president, I was going to totally campaign for him. And when she went, I just didn't even think of her. And this time around, I started reading a lot about her. And I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. Everything that my family told me about her isn't true. So, and I'm like, and she even admits, she's like, I'm not a warm and fuzzy person. I'm a worker. Like you put me in a position, I get you results. And so for me, I'm like, she has a plan. She has a comprehensive plan for trans people. I'm like, that's amazing. So I'm totally, yes, I'm all in.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think of like the realistic options out there. Hillary is the best. The problem is I don't see her changing all that much for the US, and I think that you guys do need to change some things, or else you're going to have some really big problems with your economy and things like that. But I guess we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, and I think what's been great about Bernie running is I think it's pushed her in areas that she probably wasn't ever going to talk about. And I think now that it's in the open, they're going to hold her accountable if she wins, which I think will be great. And I really am curious to see who she's going to pick as her VP. But she's always really good at having a coalition behind her, because right now her coalition are trans people, African American, Mexican, Muslims, women. Like she's raising money for other Democrats, because she's like, whoever gets in office, if it's her or if it's Bernie or something, they're going to have everyone on their side so they can actually pass shit to get passed and not repeal things. And the other thing is she has connections with other countries. She's been a diplomat. So she's all about building a coalition. And Bernie, unfortunately, isn't. He's very inflexible in his ideology. But for me, it was like, you're inflexible and you don't have a plan. Because I'm like, I think about my transition. I'm like, wait a minute. If I wasn't flexible and I didn't have a plan, I'd be fucked. I wouldn't be where I am now. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That just works for me. I like people who are really specific.
No, I mean, I think, yeah, anyway, we'll just have to see what happens, I suppose, with that. But yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting. I think what's really cool, though, is that people are talking about trans stuff. Like, I never thought that in my lifetime it would be so openly discussed. Like, I've never seen a presidential nominee, like even Bernie Sanders, actually talk about trans people and not lump them in with just LGBT gay people. Like, no, like there's actually discussions. Unfortunately, on the Republican side, they don't even, like, we shouldn't exist. I mean, hello, like.
No, I know that's okay. The thing about the Republican side is like the only Republican candidate who I consider to be like even close to acceptable is like Kasich. Yeah. But like Kasich is like he's on record as like having specifically removed the transgender protection from like an LGBT anti-discrimination bill or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, why do you guys hate us so much? It's super annoying, because like you just simply can't even if you're like center right, like focused, you can't even vote for Republicans without it actually like, you know, being bad for you. Like it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, and like I personally, like, I think what's really shitty is like they're trying to get Paul Ryan to be the Republican nominee. And to me, I think that's wrong. I'm like, no, like your nominee is probably going to be Trump, and you have to accept that this is the nominee for your party. Unfortunately, this is who people are voting in, but that's not fair to throw Paul Ryan in. And I think that would piss off so many people that they would probably cause a mutiny and vote for, you know, someone on the Democrat side just to say, screw you. That's what I'm hoping. But I know a lot of Republicans that are a little bit more logical thinking, a little bit more moderate leaning. A lot of them are basically saying they're probably going to vote for Hillary if Trump is the nominee, which if I was a Republican, you better believe I would, because I'm like, no, I wouldn't want that as a represent. Like, it's so bad on so many levels. Like, it's just, oh, it's so bad. It would make me want to move out of the country for sure. I'd be like, I don't want to be associated with this at all. Oh,
well, you can come join me in Holland. It'll be good.
I know. I would love to live in Europe. That would be a ton of fun. But yeah, we'll see. I hope it doesn't happen. You just never really know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's
I have a trans friend that actually likes Donald Trump, but he doesn't live in this country anymore. And I was stunned. And I'm like, dude, like if they knew who you were, you'd be the first one tied to a post and burned. So don't even act like it's cool to like Trump. Like I just don't even like, that makes me like lose respect. You know what I mean? Like really?
You know,
like,
I mean, like these, I think the word you're looking for is Uncle Tom, or the phrase that you're looking for is Uncle Tom, right?
Yeah. This is crazy. I don't even know. It's very interesting in America right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. Right. So the other thing I wanted to talk about actually was getting my face. I got some consults from Dr. Van der Baart or something like that here in Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's much, the consult, like what was quoted was actually much lower than what I thought it would be. It's about 13 or 14,000 euros or something like that, like everything. And
What's that in American money?
it's not even that much. Here, just a sec. Let me Google this. 13,000 EUR, no, 14,000 USD. It's like $16,000.
That's ridiculous. I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah. And he has like a good record of like working on what I worked on, which is my forehead. Like I got like this haircut to like sort of cover my brow because it was just, I saw this like photo of myself from like the side profile, like this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so bad. Like when my side profile is like this, you can see like it's really bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, the
yeah,
braids.
it really bothered me. So I went out and I got a haircut that has like bangs. So this makes it like a little bit better, but there's still like certain angles of myself that I just can't stand. And so like, yeah, I had to, um, I have to get FFS as soon as possible. And this guy like has a good record, and he he's like affordable, and I can probably have it done by like this summer, and I really want to do it. So they recommended that I do brow, like a lip lift, and then jaw and chin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think with your lip, you already have like a nice pout. Don't want to make it bigger?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just in general it will balance out my face more.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I played with this generator on this game called like All Saints or something. They have like this really in-depth character creator, and you can customize like everything about a character's face. So I took some photos of myself and I tried to like recreate like how my face looks, and then I could like pinpoint the problem spots. And then I went back and I wanted to change certain things to see what made it look better. And it's amazing that if you just fix the brow, everything else just kind of, the brow and a little bit of jaw, everything else just falls into place. So yeah, I'm really hopeful that that's going to get me where I need to be.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, yours won't be as intense and crazy as mine. Mine was like 11 and a half hours. They basically ripped my face off. So that's really, yours sounds a lot nicer. I'd be like, sign me up, sign me up.
What, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, what did they do for you?
I had brow. I had my whole brow redone. I had hairline advancement, rhinoplasty, upper lip, jaw, chin. I can't remember what else. There was something else too that he did. I can't remember. It was called The Works. he like had his measurements and his compass, and he showed me everything that he thought needed to be changed, and I trusted him completely. I mean, he's the founder of it, so I'm like, whatever you want to do, you know. So he didn't like put filler or implants in my face, so he just worked with my bone structure. So yeah, just kind of did that.
That's very special. I mean, I have another consult with Dr. Spiegel actually. That's coming up fairly shortly, I think. And that one is
expensive.
Yeah, sure. I know it's going to be a lot more expensive, but I'm almost certainly not going to go with him. But I just want to hear what he has to say so that I can consider that for when I'm having a procedure done, like here, for example. And then, you know, then I can maybe be like, well, you know, another surgeon suggested this. Maybe you can do this also, and maybe that will help. I don't know. That's just my hope anyway.
Well, that's cool. When do you have your consult with him?
It's later this month sometime. I'm not sure on the exact date, but yeah, sometime later this month.
Oh, is he just gonna like Skype you or something?
Yeah, it's like $100 or $150, and then he spends like 15 minutes with you, and then they give you like a quote and some recommendations. But that's really all I want, just because I know he has a good eye for it, and um, I think that's useful when I go and I speak with the other FFS surgeon for consults, just for
Mhm.
food for thought sort of thing. Because I have heard that like surgeons in Europe are less proactive about recommending certain procedures. They're just like, oh, you want that? Okay, we'll do that kind of thing, as opposed to like, I think that you need this for like the whole, the whole holistic package sort of thing. So if I have a
Mhm.
recommendation from another surgeon, especially Dr. Spiegel, then I could go to like a different surgeon and be like, okay, can you do these certain procedures because this is what I was recommended, kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe that's like the wrong sort of thinking, but I think it's worth exploring anyway.
Yeah, I always think, it's your face, so get as many consultations as you want. I just had two. I was gonna go to this other surgeon that was really well known, and he's done a couple people that I know, and I really liked his work. But I ended up just going with Dr. O after I met him because I knew the minute I sat down with him that he was it. Meltzer I really liked a lot, but I knew I was going to use him for SRS. And if I ever have any other procedures, like any other surgeries, I'll go to Meltzer because he's meticulous and he's a perfectionist. And in my opinion, he's completely worth the money. So I'm like, so if I ever want anything else done, I'll just go to him.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think what I'm having done, like except for the brow, is going to be fairly minimal. And so if I ever decide, like in the future, that I want like my nose done or something like that, I can have that done in addition. But what I don't want to do is like have too much done, and then, yeah, you know what I mean. Start looking like, you know, Pete Burns or someone like that.
Yeah, because if Dr. O wasn't retiring, I would have just done probably my forehead or something. I just would have done something really simple. Luckily, everything turned out great. But like I think it's usually smarter to do it in different sections, like not all at once, because it can be a lot. And sometimes when you heal, it's going to be not what you expected. So I think that's a smart way to go.
Well, I mean, given that, like, I'm just thinking like if I can just reduce the number of people that look at me strangely, like from like whatever it is now to like, less than 5% of people, that would be just great.
Mhm. Well, and
Yeah.
that's a good mentality to have because when I went in, he asked, he's like, he was very point blank because he wanted to make sure that you were psychologically ready to know that you're going to have a different face. But also, he's like, are you doing this because you want to look attractive, or why are you doing this? And I basically said, like, for me, the most important thing was being able to do whatever I want to do and not have any issue. Go be able to travel, be able to like not wear a stitch of makeup or whatever, and not have any issue passing as female or being perceived as female. And he says that's exactly the best mentality to have because a lot of people go into it thinking that they're going to be gorgeous or something, like it's going to turn them into a supermodel, but it's like, no, it's just going to give you female measurements on your face, so when people see you, they think subconsciously female, not like, you know what I mean, like that's
Oh,
why I
I mean,
want.
definitely, and and that's the thing is like when my husband, like he listed off a few different things. Um, he was like, think of all the things that we can do. Like we can like go into town late at night on a whim and go to like some random bar and have a drink or have something to eat. And like that's something that I just don't feel comfortable doing right now because I can't stand like I'll think like, is it safe? Are people going to look at me strangely? Am I going to have a problem? Like I just don't do that. Like, or like we have to go somewhere and it's really crowded and I'll have to be like on the subway or like in the metro or something like that with a huge crowd. Like again, that's something that really stresses me out and it really drains me. And if I can just walk around in my day-to-day life and not get stared at by like every other person, that would be amazing. Like that's all I want. I just don't want to be stared at.
No, I understand
Yeah.
completely.
And honestly, like I don't understand it because like when I first started transitioning, there were a lot of, I don't know if you had this, but like a lot of trans women would say like, you don't need FFS. You're like, you look good as it is. It's no problem. And even like cis people will say this to you. But then like the actual experience of it, it's like, no, like unless you're like transitioning like at puberty or like very, very closely after puberty, like in my opinion, like 95% or more of trans women are going to need FFS if they want to pass like well. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see how that, like I just don't see how you could do it without FFS, because there's some features like the brow, for example, which are just so fundamental to the gender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. And I think other trans women, they may not like it. And they, I think there's a lot of different schools of thought on facial feminization. I kind of feel like it's a little taboo in the trans community because I think there's probably some jealousy involved because of the cost. A lot of girls can't afford it. But I also think there's another portion that people think you're just trying to be an assimilator and not, I don't know. There's people who told me that. They're like, you're just trying to assimilate. Like, why don't you be a gender warrior or whatever? And then other people don't like messing with the structure of their face because they like their features, even if they might be a little bit more heavy or whatever. So I guess just for me, like I knew like it was massively important to me. And after I did the surgery, psychologically, I felt so much better. And like when I was healing and I looked crazy for like the first 8 months, like I was okay. I didn't get depressed. I didn't have issues. When I saw my face, I didn't have freak out because I knew it was part of the process. Like I was mentally ready to do it. And some people aren't ever mentally ready to do it because I have a friend who was planning to have surgery, but she's absolutely terrified of any sort of surgery. She's like, I would love to have my brow done, but I don't really know what I'd end up looking like afterwards, and that freaks me out. And I kind of feel like if it really does worry you, then you need to wait. You know what I mean? Like, because you're going to look different. You are going to look different. Like, when I went back to work, I wasn't out yet after I had facial feminization, which really wasn't in my plan. Like I wanted to come out right after I had my surgery, but unfortunately I wasn't ready to be able to do that at work yet. So when I came back to work with the new face, I was still swollen, but people like, they totally took a step back and looked completely freaked out because I didn't look like the same person. So I don't know, like I can understand like if passing is really important to you, which is another taboo topic, passing. If it's really important to you, then it's something to definitely consider because, you know, depending on who you go have surgery with, it can ultimately change your life, you know, sometimes more than SRS flow.
Oh no, I mean like SRS is also very important to me. Like that's so like it's so annoying. Like if I want to like, you know, be intimate with my husband, like I can't eat all day, and then it's like 2 or 3 hours of like prep time, and then it's like okay, I'm ready, and then like it's like we kind of just have to do it whether we're in the mood or not by that point, and it's just like it's like I just want to be able to be spontaneous and things, and that definitely is important, but on the other hand, like my face is so much more important because that's just like how everybody else other than my husband, you know, treats me in the world, and that it makes a big difference to me, you know.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Very true.
Yeah, I think we're roughly at the half-hour mark or 20-minute mark or something like that. So we could close this off and head over to your channel.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay.
Well, bye everyone.
Bye everyone. You can head over to Colette's channel and watch the other half. Take care, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.